How do you top your love for your cat? With a cascade of decadent savory gravy over a mouth-watering mousse pâté. Fancy Feast gems. 2 gourmet pâtés in one convenient pack. Simply peel and plate to reveal a pyramid shape that makes eating delightful and pamper her with an experience as extraordinary as she is. Turn the everyday into the extraordinary with Fancy Feast gems.
Wish you could become a morning person? You know the type, up before the sun, early morning runs, first one to the office with donuts and a smile. How do they do it? Easy. With the new Galaxy Watch 8, sleep tracking and personalized insights from Samsung Health help you improve so you can wake up to a whole new you. One who, dare I say it, skips the snooze? It's possible. Train your sleep with Galaxy Watch 8. Learn more at Samsung.com. Requires compatible Samsung Galaxy phone, Samsung Health app, and Samsung account.
For a limited time at McDonald's, get a Big Mac extra value meal for $8. That means 2 all-beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun, and medium fries, and a drink. We may need to change that jingle.
Prices and participation may vary.
This podcast is supported by FX's English Teacher. Last year's critically acclaimed series returns to follow Evan, Gwen, and Marky as they vie for their students' divided attention. See why Cosmopolitan called its premiere season a masterclass of comedy, while Glamour raved it's the year's funniest and most heartwarming new comedy series. FX's English Teacher, all new Thursdays on FX. All episodes now streaming on Hulu.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso and Samra Origins by The Weekend Coffee Collection.
Introducing Samra Origins. My collaboration with Nespresso is a connection to my roots, to my mother, Samra. Coffee that hits the right notes. It transports you. Crafted with unique notes and bold soaring flavors. Experience a taste that moves you. Nespresso and Samra Origins.
Discover more at Nespresso.com.
Tom Haberstroh, what is your favorite 80s food?
Kevin, I was 3 years old in 1989, so
Gerber's, like, whatever.
So rice and beans, Kevin, that's my favorite 80s food trend.
Tom, you missed a beautiful world of Creole spice, blackened fish, and angel hair pasta, and the lunch pasta salad, and pesto, and fajitas for everyone. Too bad you weren't around to do that. Tom, this is Pack Your Knives. I'm Kevin Arnovitz.
And I'm Tom Haberstroh.
We are at the end of Los Angeles. We are propelled into the final 5 this week. I want to take stock of the season. How did we get here? Big week. The final 5 is set. Opening thoughts about the field.
The regular season is over, Kevin. As we suspected, Voltaggio's there, Gregory's there, Melissa's there, Kevin Gillespie is there, and Stephanie, I think it's the big surprise of the season. Stephanie has made it this far, not because she's not a great chef, but because she didn't really have a strong entrance for the first several episodes of the show. And here she is going to Italy and really coming on strong. I feel bad for Malarkey because, you know, he seemed to get a little bit job there with the service. But as Tom Colicchio said, look, it wasn't about that. It was the food. It was the duo. And he had a little bit of a redemption tour halfway through the season as well. And so I was sad to see him go. He's a great character. Maybe they can bring him back in Italy like they did last season in Macau. It was one of those things where I think they kind of sometimes they bring a group of chefs over to the finale.
Yeah, you got to do like the sous chef business. In the finale, there's always like you get to pick your sous chefs.
I'm gonna miss Malarkey. I'm gonna be honest. He's a character, and you know, I wish Eric. Of course, I believe he was my 3rd draft pick. I wish he was around. But I really think, Kevin, this is the postseason we wanted.
This is the field. It's very interesting. I mean, we obviously have some favorites. Stephanie has emerged as, I think, everybody's favorite underdog. What's interesting, if I can play arbitrary endpoint for a few minutes, Tom.
Yeah. Oh, I'm always game for that.
All right. Who is the leading chef over the last 3 weeks in our point system?
I'm going to say Melissa.
No, Stephanie, who is, and I'll go further, who is the leading chef over the last 4 weeks?
Melissa.
Stephanie.
Whew.
2 wins. She got a 5. She got the close second this week. She, I think, won the 2 weeks ago. I think she won her first quickfire. So Tom, she is the underdog, I think, and this is not to slight her. I think her personal chef portfolio versus, say, these prolific restaurateurs puts her at somewhat of a disadvantage. I think we've noted that she may not be as creative. She's a chef that needs some parameters to start with rather than just a creative chef who with a blank canvas will just come up with something beautiful. But she has achieved competence. I think there are shades of Adrian from a few seasons ago where the first 2/3 of the season were about building confidence. And then once that confidence was instilled, look out. Because, but also I just love that we have an underdog. I love that we have an underdog in the field. By the way, what do we make of Final 5? It used to be Final 4. Am I correct?
I thought so too. I'd have to go back and check that. It is a larger field. Maybe that has to do with the Last Chance Kitchen returning, but that doesn't make too much sense. Maybe they're just cutting one episode. I don't know. But I was a little nervous, and we'll get to this later. I was a little nervous with Gregory there at the final stage because I really was hoping that Gregory was going to make it to the finale. I need to see Gregory at least have a chance to winning this competition. And it was the same kind of feeling that I had with Melissa a few weeks ago at the dinner with the moms at the Mountain Getaway, the Wet Hot American Summer Challenge. I thought that Melissa might have been going home just the same way that Gregory, without the prosciutto, was going home. But I'm so happy to see that we have Gregory, Voltaggio, Melissa, Stephanie, and Kevin going forward.
Yeah, I mean, Gregory's had a rough couple of weeks, right? I mean, he had the kind of under-season rice dish and the Kaiseki challenge. You know, even that. I thought that quick fire, the coconut milk chocolate curd that was just beige more than anything. Forgot his prosciutto crisps. We'll talk a little bit about that in a few minutes. So he's had a bumpy few weeks. I mean, I think the change of scenery will certainly bring him back to the top, toward the top. But it's a really interesting field. I mean, it's got it stacked. It really is. I think you could make an argument for 4 of the 5 chefs. I mean, even Voltaggio, who, you know, has had, I think, a very regular season. I think the parallel you drew a few weeks ago was sort of a LeBron Cavaliers team. You know the switch is going to be flipped at some point, but until it's pretty dark until that switch is flipped.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's, I think, cooked more interesting food in the last few weeks. And again, I've always said that I think as we get deeper into the competition and the goofy parameter, hey, cook upside down, blindfolded, you know, sort of stuff gives way to, hey, here's some time to create something with fewer parameters. I think he's going to be a very tough customer. Melissa is just magic right now. I mean, she is back on track. Whatever throat clearing happened a few weeks ago, she is back. And of course, as you said, Gregory, who I think was our first pick, was your first pick.
And right now he's number 1 in points.
Right, number 1 in points. I think he was the morning line favorite for much of the competition. And then, of course, Stephanie. So, I mean, hey, I'm telling you, the facts are the facts. In the past month, she has essentially been if you go by scoring, the top chef.
Yeah.
So, we'll start with with I think probably one of your favorite and my favorite quickfire challenges ever. Make some airplane food
and have Champagne Padma. That was
By the way, she was drunk. She was drunk. It was hilarious.
She was shit-faced. I mean, she was totally bombed. I mean,
she looked like Allison and Eric and my Eric in Lexington.
Yes. We for those who don't know, we went to Restaurant Wars a couple of years ago. Was it last year? It was 2 years ago? No,
it was 2 years ago.
2 years ago, we drove over to Lexington from Louisville, which is about an hour-ish drive. And when we got there, they just served us drinks to wait and wait and wait when we got to Restaurant Wars in the airplane hangar or whatever it was that we went to. And we had to wait so long that they just gave us a bottle of wine. They gave, I think, of a bottle of rosé. They just were like, straight up, here you go. We're so sorry for the delay. And we were, you know what? We had way more fun. And I think Padma, this was her biggest performance of the season so far. And I think everyone, when you're on Top Chef, in Last Chance Kitchen, I feel like everyone who's guest judging should just have a couple drinks in there to just get the emotions going. Because in the Last Chance Kitchen, when you saw the peanut gallery, like I kind of felt like you got to give them just a few drinks before we get out there on the stage. And this one, she and Jonathan Waxman just were halfway in the bag.
It was fun.
It was great.
I mean, it was truly hilarious.
Were you excited to see the airline challenge? Because I felt like you must have just perked up a little bit on this one, huh?
I mean, look, one of my great sort of completist goals is to kind of like I have 2 out of the 3 Gulf carriers in my pocket now. I want to experience all the leading international airlines because we're fortunate enough to travel so much for work, and I'm one of those like kind of George Clooney and up in the air points whores that I have just a ton of points, so I spend them largely on international first class and business class tickets. So it's not like I'm fancy pants. I just trade in on my travel that's where I spend those points. And so I've been treated to one of the great experiences, sort of consumer experiences of my life was getting to fly Etihad Airways home, one of the longest flights in the world, Abu Dhabi to LAX, 16 hours. Oh. And I was in first class, not even business, first class. And the chef comes over. There's like a chef.
What?
Comes over and basically, 2 or 3 hours in a flight says, let's design your tasting menu.
What?
And just kind of came over with a pad and sort of all these choices and asked what kind of food I generally gravitate to and what kind of flavors. And they put together, I kid you not, Tom, like a 6-course meal, Middle Eastern flavors. Like, it was one of the coolest culinary experiences. I mean, look, I don't know that the food was delicious. I don't know that it was like one of the 10 best meals I've ever had. But when you include context and just environment, and I was in one of these like suites where like it was truly like a room to myself. It was unbelievable. And it was just like, so I really kind of made a point to try to sample as many of the great airline meals. Like, Emirates was nothing to slouch at. I've had great experiences on Singapore Air. Alitalia, for all of its issues, has great food, as you might imagine. So this was such a thrill. Like, Tom, I got off on this challenge. This was so fun.
Oh yeah, and the whole height factor. So I guess when Tom Colicchio. By the way, if you haven't listened to the episode, we had an interview with Tom Colicchio. It was awesome. One of the things he mentioned when we gave him his pitch, where we delivered our pitch to him, he was like, "What's the challenge?" If my producer's in my ear saying, "What's the challenge, guys?" And in this sense, it's not just, hey, put it on a tray. It can't be too tall, right? And so that's one of the elements that Kevin Gillespie screwed up on, which he shouldn't have screwed up on because his grandfather is an airline executive, Kevin. We need to know more about this. You think he's Delta because he's Atlanta?
I would imagine it's Delta Airlines since he is an Atlanta guy. And by the way, that is one of the great privileges, like when you have a high level management or above executive for an airline. You as he said, you go business and first all the time.
Oh man,
it was sort of interesting, and I thought Voltaggio had a good point, and basically Melissa followed this rule, Kevin to some extent, and Gregory, which is you want something braised, because one of the problems, like I'm a guy who always order fish at a decent restaurant if there's an alternative there that draws me. But the problem is you can dry stuff out. Like, you need the great thing about braising is, like, it's hard to overdo it. It only, if you just kind of, because a slow roast in general is just, retains its moisture. So yeah. I thought that was very smart. He did the braised chicken thighs. Kevin did, a lamb meatball, which, not exactly braised, of course, but the gram masala chicken from Gregory. And then you had, of course, the beef curry, mushroom, and coconut rice. I mean, Melissa kind of wins on, you don't want to make it too cute for the airplane. You just want something savory. If coconut rice, it'll stand up. Tofu salad, I was a little skeptical because I think, like, is the world into tofu yet? I mean, is that something that most people kind of look, you unveil the little dish and it's like, tofu salad? I mean, that was the only question. I was imagining one of the judges saying, hey, in Top Chef, of course, a tofu salad makes a ton of sense. Is that a crowd pleaser? Is there a lot of people who can press that little spongy substance and say, what the hell is this?
Is this ignorant to say that outside of vegetarians, Does anyone like tofu? Like
I do.
I'm saying, like
sincerely
if you had a choice between meats and a tofu dish, I'm not sure you're choosing the tofu over that.
Right, but I mean, the one thing I've really discovered, I think in like the 80s and 90s when it was purely like sort of the province of crunchy health food types, like tofu in this country has come a long way. Like a beautiful, clean, like a Japanese restaurant that makes their own tofu. That place in Vegas we like. What's that place called? I forget. God, it's escaping me. Oh, Aburiya Raku. Like they do a beautiful homemade tofu. I love like going to the Chinese restaurant and you get like that sticky tofu, not the mappo, but the stuff that's sort of almost has the texture of eggplant. It's just really, really good. So I think that it's come a long way, but I just think that there's a large population of people who will look at a tofu appetizer, and I really thought she was going to get dinged for that. But I guess it was so delicious with the yuzu and the cucumber, especially against the savoriness of the beef curry, that it just worked. And I mean, her food's just so damn good right now. It
is. And I want to take a detour real quick on this because, Kevin, I'm sure you're an avid reader or at least familiar with thepointsguy.com.
Oh, of course. I mean, Ben is a guy who I will, that's View. Is Ben pointsguy.com?
What you need to know
or is that Gary Leff? Which one is?
There is a long post about the science of airplane food written by Michael Y. Park on that website. Okay, so I read it, and there's this one little section here that I think bears repeating it for this episode because it's so interesting to me. You mentioned how it dries out on the flights, and I think it's something we have to keep in mind when we're evaluating this challenge. Here's what not to put on an airline menu. Chefs have also learned to avoid certain pitfalls and problem foods when they're designing airline menus. Bread goes stale fast at altitude, and unless it's a necessary part of a sandwich, airline chefs generally try to serve bread only when it's just out of the oven. You'll rarely find French fries on an airplane menu because fried foods become impossibly mushy. Mineral-heavy wines taste less like slate and more like plain old dirt among the clouds. And that's why onboard wine lists favor sweeter, fruitier options. Cruciferous, is that the pronunciation? Cruciferous? Vegetables, such as broccoli, give off an unpleasant odor as they're reheated, which is relatively minor detail.
It does. It smells like a fart.
When you open a window. But another thing when you're seated in a sealed aluminum tube with 400 other people. And speaking of unpleasant gases, cruciferous veggies and beans tend to make people flatulent, which no one wants. So you'll generally see them used in moderation, if at all, in airline meals. Still, even with everything airlines have learned, there can be missteps, taking perhaps the wrong lesson from the Spence study that said in altitude, you have a greater sense of umami levels. Virgin Australia served passengers on its Perth to Adelaide route Parmesan sandwiches on Christmas Day last year, thinking that the cheese's inherent savoriness would be an extraordinary treat in the air. But unfortunately, the odor from the cheese, which one witness described as, quote, old socks, quickly filled the cabin and made passengers who didn't order the sandwiches gag and vomit. Quote, it was sweaty socks. Their brains were telling them that they were smelling not pressed Parmesan sandwiches, Spence says. So, Kevin, what is the worst airline meal or something that you just cannot have on a flight that just irritates you when people open it, whether it was prepackaged going onto the flight or just something that filled the cabin air that you remember or something that just bothers you over the years? Fish, reheated fish, they can't be serving that.
No, I mean, there's a lot of good fish on airplanes. I mean, when people bring on next to you, hey, look, man, I'm somebody who appreciates a good pastrami or corned beef sandwich, but don't open that shit on the plane if you're sitting in like economy or whatever. Like, that's just gross. Like, I have to say something. It kind of, and as much as I love food and I understand they don't feed you on these flights anymore, but I just don't want your, like, at 7:30 in the morning, I don't want your smelly bacon biscuit.
Yeah, I know.
You doing the crumbs on my, and it's just like, come on. I mean, look, it's a free country, but it's just, I don't like overly smoky meats, even though I typically love smoky meats. It's just, Yeah, I wish people would exercise a little more restraint in the cabin, just a little more.
No. Like sometimes there's a Bojangles here in Charlotte Airport, and a lot of people like get their breakfast sandwich, Bojangles, to bring out their Cajun filet biscuit, which is delicious. It's
really
amazing.
I mean, we have had the Bojangles conversation on this podcast. Yes.
So they wrap it in that like kind of aluminum foil type wrap, and then you bring it onto the plane, and then when you open that up, that thing is like filling up the entire cabin with that Cajun filet biscuit smell, which in an open room, like outside, you're not really sensing that smell too much. But when you're inside of a cabin, it can really, really incapacitate some people. So I hear that. And I think in this episode with Top Chef, I did like that they penalized Kevin for his meatballs being over the size of the tray. I don't know if I like the bread that they give you on airplanes, but I do know that I like the butter they bring it with. I find that I don't really put butter on bread very often until I'm on a flight. I'm throwing so much salt on my food. Like when they give those little pepper and salt shakers that are so adorable, I just use every condiment on my plate. I don't know about you.
All right. Yeah. One weakness to that point I have on planes, like a bad plane food that I actually enjoy, is like those croissants, those spongy kind of not great croissants that they give you in the morning on like, right before you land on an international flight particularly, and sometimes on a breakfast flight if you're in business. Like, and they're objectively not good croissants. I mean, we know what a good croissant, but like there's something about that sponginess, and it's always cold and it shouldn't be.
Yes.
And I love just to like, I don't even use the knife for the butter. I just stick like,
like
the spongy croissant, like just kind of pick it up almost like injera with Ethiopian food. Like I actually just kind of use the croissant as a pincher to just take the butter and just squish it.
Yes.
That is one of my gross, I cannot defend it culinarily, favorite things on like bad airline food.
You know what's also weird? In this study that they did, the science of airplane food, is when you're at altitude, you lose a lot of your sense of salt and sweetness. So they kind of jack it up a little bit on the food. They also dry out a lot. Of course, you mentioned that earlier. So they like to lather things with like barbecue sauces, and they usually cook them with, a gravy or some sort of base to keep the moisture up. And another thing I do on flights that, Kevin, I don't understand why. I always crave tomato juice. I don't know what maybe it is that saltiness. I don't know what it is.
Even better, Tom, than tomato juice is Mr. and Mrs. T Bloody Mary mix.
Yeah.
With a little spice.
Yeah. And I never order that in real life. Like I'm not going to lunch. If I go to lunch somewhere, I usually just get water or tea or something like that. But when I'm on a flight, I always crave the tomato juice. I always get the V8 or whatever it is, and I don't know what it is. Why is that?
I don't know, but I totally understand and I feel ridiculous ordering a Virgin Mary. Because like I don't love to drink alcohol on a flight. Look, I love good wine. It totally screws in my head. It makes me feel nauseated. But like I feel ridiculous, and I won't even do it if there's someone next to me. But like I've always loved Mr. and Mrs. T Bloody. It's like my favorite processed food is Mr. My Aunt Shirley in Charleston, South Carolina. As a little kid, like I went to spend a lot of time at her house, and she always had Mr. and Mrs. T Bloody Mary mix, and she knew I loved it. She always kept it in the fridge, and it was in that little can, that Hawaiian Punch high C can where you have to do the two little triangles on the sides. I think you grew up in a different era, but like we just had a lot of like fluids in these big aluminum cans. I mean, these oversized aluminum cans. I mean, they were nasty, but that was sort of my thing as a kid, and I still love it on a plane. Because it's one of the few places you can get it, right? Like you can. I'm not going to. I just feel totally weird at a bar ordering a Virgin Mary.
Of course.
But like Bloody Marys are good.
Yeah.
And that anyway.
So anyway, I want just one more thing here, and this is a good transition back to the Top Chef episode. Did you know about this, Chef Conclave?
Hello, listener. It's Producer Maze here to talk to you about Quince and their cookware. Cooler nights mean cozy meals at home, and Quince's cookware has made fall cooking so much more enjoyable. Their pieces deliver the quality and performance of luxury brands, but at a price that makes sense. And they look gorgeous on the stovetop, too. No matter what item you need to complete your kitchen, Quince has you covered. With 5-ply stainless steel pots and pans, nonstick skillets, chef-quality knives, and even ceramic bakeware, which is perfect for cozy casseroles or Sunday roasts. And when you look at these prices, you might think, how is Quince doing this? How do they deliver high-quality items similar to high-end brands that are half the price? Well, let me tell you, they partner directly with ethical top-tier factories to cut out the middlemen and pass the savings on to you. And it's not just cookware. I got myself some bath sheets. That's right. When you're a tall man, you have to use bath sheets, not bath towels from Quince. It's like drying off with the cloud. It's incredible. Upgrade your kitchen for cozy fall meals with premium cookware from Quince. Go to quince.com/dings for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/dings, DINGS, to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/dings. Hello, listener. It's producer Maze here to talk to you about Kindred. Now, close your eyes like Owen Wilson during a job interview and imagine a way to travel that feels personal, comfortable, and connected without the price tags and the sterile feelings of hotels or short-term rentals. Now open your eyes and stop using your imagination because Kindred has made it very real. That's exactly what they do. Kindred is a members-only home swapping network. It's not a hotel. It's not a short-term rental. It's a smarter way to travel where each stay feels like home. Here's how it works. With Kindred, your home is your ticket. You earn credits by hosting fellow Kindred members, and then you use those credits to stay in over 220,000 homes in more than 100 cities worldwide. There are no hotel costs or rental fees, just the credits that you've earned. Every stay comes with white glove service, 24/7 trip support, and $100,000 in host protection. Make it easier for you to travel and enjoy yourself and not worry about details. I've used Kindred and I found an amazing home for a weekend getaway in an idyllic location with amazing views and great ambiance. It had everything I needed. And the best part was, it cost me $0. So apply now at livekindred.com and use code DINGS to join for free. Plus, you'll earn 5 nights of travel credit just for signing up. That's right, that's 5 whole nights for free at livekindred, KINDRED.com, code DINGS, DINGS, livekindred.com, code DINGS.
Listener, listen up. This is important, okay? I'm going to try to save you some money here. If you're still overpaying for wireless, it's time to say yes to saying no. At Mint Mobile, their favorite word is no. You may think like, oh, that's bad. No contracts. No monthly bills, no overages, no hidden fees, no BS. Here's why I said yes to making the switch and getting premium wireless for $15 a month. You heard that correctly. $15 per month. Ditch overpriced wireless and the jaw-dropping monthly bills. And of course, there are all these hidden fees and stuff, but at Mint Mobile, plans start at $15 per month. All the plans come with high-speed data, unlimited talk and text. You're not doing like weekend and nighttime minutes or anything like that. And it's delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone. Don't have to get a new phone. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all of your existing contacts. I switched months ago. People have asked, did you actually switch? Yes, I actually switched months ago, and I don't know what to do with all this extra money. I've cheated the system here. I've rigged something. This is an Ocean's 11 situation where I'm stealing wireless from Mint. That's how good a deal it is. Ready to say yes to saying no? Make the switch at mintmobile.com/dings. That's DINGS. That's mintmobile.com/dings. Upfront payment of $45 required, equivalent to $15 per month. Limited time new customer offer for first 3 months only. Speeds may slow above 35 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details.
This episode is brought to you by 20th Century Studios' new film, Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere, starring Golden Globe winner Jeremy Allen White and Academy Award nominee Jeremy Strong. Scott Cooper, the director of the Academy Award-winning movie Crazy Heart, brings you the story of the most pivotal chapter in the life of an icon. Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere. Only in theaters October 24th. Get your tickets now.
The family that vacations together stays together. At least, that was the plan. Except now, the dastardly desk clerk is saying he can't confirm your connecting rooms.
Wait, what?
That's right, ma'am. You have rooms 201 and 709.
No, we cannot be 5 floors away from our kids.
The doors have double locks. They'll be fine.
When you want connecting rooms confirmed before you arrive, it matters where you stay.
Welcome to Hilton. I see your connecting rooms are already confirmed.
Hilton, for the stay.
The American Airlines chef conclave that Waxman had been part of with Alice Waters and with Wolfgang Puck. Did you catch that on the episode?
No. What are they talking about?
So what Jonathan Waxman was like, yes, as part of this quickfire, I was part of the 1988 American Air. Well, he didn't name drop American Airlines on this, but apparently there was a thing called the Chef Conclave, and it was a group of not celebrity chefs, because there weren't celebrity chefs back then, but it was notable chefs, that high-profile chefs that American Airlines hired to create their menus for their like international travel or long flights. And this dude, Jonathan Waxman, super famous chef, was part of this with Wolfgang Puck and Alice Waters back in 1988, Kevin.
So they were the pioneers, because this thing's been now it's totally commonplace. So when you get the little menu, in fact, you know who was a chef for a while, I believe on Delta, was our favorite Michelle Bernstein from Miami.
Oh wow! Well,
she was. I remember it was right after I think our Miami jaunt, because I remember oh, this is cool. Michelle Bernstein's doing the food on Delta. I think it was Delta.
Well, I also found out that Leanne Wong, who's got her hand in everything apparently, is the executive chef for Hawaiian Air. So she didn't get to be on this episode, but maybe Leanne, now that we know from Chef Jen Carroll, how much she's a part of the planning process and the culinary side of things and the stocking of food, maybe she has her hand in this that we didn't quite understand. Is that maybe Leanne Wong came up with this airline challenge, quickfire. She didn't get to enjoy it herself as a contestant, but I really love this episode and I think it just from start to finish with Drunk Padma. Again, Stephanie with the Champagne Padma line. She is such a joy to have in these confessionals, because she has just got everything. She's a great chef, but I think she's even better on the commentary.
Right. As I've said, I think in the previous episode, that she wins my trapped in an elevator for 2 hours contest. And I felt really bad because her papillon just like that parchment paper, and I felt terrible. I think it was probably a really good dish, if not for the papillon. Who else got dinged? Malarkey for the pork chop that just was too tough. And then the middlers were Voltaggio and Greg. The elimination challenge was also pretty amazing, because Michaels is like...
tell me about Michaels.
All right. So Michaels is what we would now call old school in Los Angeles. I can't even describe it. It feels like a place where I don't know, record executives in the early 80s. Imagine David Geffen in a party of 4 does California French. So Cal French, it was this notion that, hey, French food could be brightened by California produce. You can, because French food, I think everybody loves, but it's sort of heavy. And what if we lighten it up? And a way to lighten it up is sort of to incorporate these, California. So you just ended up, and 80s food is hilarious. I mean, I kind of mentioned my sort of all 80s food lineup, which was, I just remember, I remember my mom getting really into blackened fish. And, angel hair pasta, because 80s, you're starting to get a little health conscious. You don't want the thick lasagna, and angel hair is sort of light.
I grew up on angel hair pasta, by the way. My mom loved to make angel hair pasta.
Moms loved angel hair pasta. The lunch salad. The idea, and particularly lunch pasta salad, that was a big 80s thing. You started seeing pesto everywhere. Fajitas, the Tex-Mex movement, fajitas for everybody. It's not just a thing. That got introduced, and man, the sizzling plate of fajitas, all these Tex-Mex places. I remember there was a place in Atlanta I grew up with called Rio Bravo, owned and founded by this Jewish couple, obviously. And we loved Rio Bravo. We loved the fajitas and the chili con queso. And I just went Tex-Mex. So 80s was sort of this, hey, the first introduction of, I feel culinary ambition. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. It just happens to be the decade I grew up in, but I just feel like food before that was just exactly what you would imagine, just kind of like what they used to eat on Mad Men.
So, that's what I felt like this episode was like a trip to the 70s, Mad Men style, where it was, with the airline boom in the 50s. I just felt like this was a real nostalgic trip down memory lane for the culinary world. And it seemed like what a cool little reunion at the table with this Michael's challenge. And it was, I thought Michael McCarty just seemed delightful. I thought he was a great, host for this whole entire thing. And I haven't been to Michael's in Santa Monica, but I imagine there's a couple places in Miami that are kind of like this. And I just wanted to go. It just seemed what a cool place that was.
Yeah, I mean, I've been out here now 23 years, and I remember going with family friends who were staying. Like, it's a place where if your parents' friends come out to Los Angeles and take you out or something, and because it's like I've never even had the urge to go. I mean, it's definitely old school. It's not a menu that today would really inspire me, but it's fun now that we're long enough into the foodie movement that you can actually say, haha, there are these 80s trends in food. Like that was a long time ago. Yeah. The big hair and the belts, kind of that we can look back at 80s fashion as well. But the idea that there are these dishes, so it was kind of fun to watch them reimagine. I thought Stephanie picked very smart for her. Right? The pasta and scallops, because it's just an easy thing to recreate. And you could already see Gregory's apprehension when he was he was fifth or sixth last to choose. And the monkfish beet risotto with pancetta was just, you could already see he was having trouble reconfiguring the components.
Yeah, Melissa, by virtue of winning the quickfire, she got the first pick. She went with quail. Gillespie went with duck. Steph went with the angel hair and scallops. Waltaggio went with the lamb. Then Gregory went with monkfish and prosciutto. And Malarkey ended up with the veal sweetbreads,
which he was excited about. But you could already see it was a dish that played to his Worth's habits.
Yeah,
right. It encouraged the sprawling craziness because it was these two things and they could do two different things and like. Whereas you could see Stephanie. There's pasta and there is scallops, and he would have been better served by that because this notion there were two proteins was like, oh shit, Malarkey is going to go Malarkey. This is the most sprawling dish on the menu and he is the most sprawling chef and it is truly his Achilles heel. And you just saw it coming from a mile away.
Yeah. And I feel bad. Excuse me. I feel bad for him on the servers not serving the judges table. That seems like a nightmare, especially in the close quarters in that kitchen. It just seemed like a closet that they were working in, and just seems so chaotic. And I want to feel bad for Malarkey on that level, but then doing a duo, the hit rate on that has got to be. Who's the first baseman for the Orioles now? Who bats 200 every year? Well, the Mendoza line is the classic line, but what's his whatever the duo in Top Chef history is probably batting 175, right?
Right, because can I say something? I can't believe Eddie Murray is the only first baseman in the Baltimore Orioles who ever matters.
Well,
I'm sorry. I guess it's sacrilege to mention any Oriole first baseman other than Eddie Murray.
Wait, I feel like Rafi Palmeiro's on there too.
Yeah. I guess he was a Ranger. He wasn't a really.
I get that. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to Google this at some point. But anyway, so I feel like the duo is. If it's not risotto level, it is just right below risotto level. And I hope Lynn can do a study on this is the success rate of the duo.
I also want to correct myself. It just dawned on me Frank Robinson should qualify too. Maybe. I mean, it's a little before my time. Yeah. To your point, the problem with the duo is it gives you two chances to fuck up. Right. It's always the why give the judges even if you nail one, the other is going to be you more ways to fail. What was interesting about it is with the exception of Gregory, I felt like this was the perfect elimination challenge headed into the finals because each of those other five chefs were it was a perfect illustration and demonstration of who they are as chefs. Like Kevin, he didn't finish in the top two, But he roasted duck and then did something classically Gillespie, right? Let's make the rice into a savory croquette, right? Like let's create this other like beautiful, completely out of left field element to incorporate things you never thought could be incorporated that way. Let's just do a croquette. And I just thought that was wonderful. Like, Stephanie, we talked about it. She just created these simple components that she knew how to execute, and what came of it was just gorgeous. Voltaggio, right? He took the lamb with the currants and, by the way, another classic 80s dish, Paleto galette with the little sheets looking like a flower. So he just voltaggized it, right? Roasted lamb is now gorgeously cut in this beautiful symmetrical circle, a cab cassis sauce rather than the thick currant. So let's thin it out and then turn the potato into a fondant, which I thought was a pastry. I guess that's like a potato pastry now, because I always associated fondants with like pastry, but it was just Voltaggio-ish, right? And then Malarkey was to a fault Malarkey-ish. And then Melissa, bless her heart, like she's just going to take these components that are simple, yet when you look at the entire thing together, it is complex. She manages to achieve simplicity and complexity all at once. It is why she is on top right now. And I mean, not in our scoring system, but just I think she is the strongest chef right now in the competition. And it was a beautiful demonstration of all 5 finalist chefs of who they are.
Yeah, and Melissa with the rare double win. She wins the quickfire, wins the elimination challenge, 13 points in our scoring system. And it's tough to make. Quail is not easy to cook. Quail can dry up real fast because it's not real fatty and there's not a lot of meat on that bone, literally. And so when you cook quail, you have a very slim margin for error. And so I think when you choose that at the top, got a little bit nervous on that level, but Melissa, anything she chooses, I can't doubt her, because everything that she has chosen in the past, when she has had the ability to choose, she absolutely nails it. She executes to perfection. And I felt, I want to talk about the Brooke Williamson horror story that she gave, where the only time that she had cried in a kitchen was when at that restaurant cooking the lamb dish, when she got like a bazillion orders for lamb at all very different temperatures. And I just felt my heart broke for her in that moment, because I was like, I'm getting stressed out just even thinking about that. What a murderer's row of just talent on this. You had Sang Yoon, you had Brooke Williamson. They mentioned Nancy Silverton came out of that kitchen. Mark Peel. He's kind of a guy that I don't know if I would be able to name his name. But when I see him on the TV, I'm like, oh, I know that guy. I've seen him on a bunch of TV shows. So Mark Peel, also from this Michaels, and then Roy Yamaguchi. So this was a really cool, almost a finale dinner experience. And I also caught, did you notice the people in the background? This was a very intimate back patio. And when shit was going sideways with Malarkey, you could kind of sense the entire restaurant was watching this table. There wasn't a lot of seats. And so I felt like it was pressure cooker from start to finish with this elimination challenge, the tight kitchen, the fact that when you serve to the judges table, everyone is watching. Whereas in other restaurant scenarios, it's not quite on top of you like that. So I thought this was a really cool challenge. I learned a lot about California cuisine, and I'm sad to see Malarkey go. But when you give that the little vignette, the little segment about FaceTiming with your kids on his twins' 9th birthday, it always seems ominous in those moments. And let's talk about Malarkey's little breakdown at judges' table. What did you think What did you think about that?
Going back to Mark Peel, a couple things. He is Nancy Silverton's ex-husband. And so he is, was a partner in the La Brea Bakery and the Campanile, that whole complex that really is as definitively kind of 2000 aughts Los Angeles as anything. He also lost money in the Madoff thing. I think both of them got totally screwed by Madoff, which is an interesting and just hellacious outcome. The Malarkey thing is interesting because the truth of the matter is that the plates disappearing or going to the wrong table didn't affect him. And it was a little bit of BS for him to kind of almost, it seemed like he was ascribing his failures during the challenge to that when actually the plates were already set. And so it wasn't like and they made it very clear, you are not judged on that. We are not going to dock you for that.
Mm-hmm.
It was also the whole kind of almost, I mean, it did speak to what Flam talked about, which is this is not a guy who needs the show, right? I mean, he's I think as Padma or Tom said, he's worth probably more than both of us.
Yep.
And you could almost see it in his farewell where it's like, hey, I've had a nice run. I've kind of gotten what I needed to get out of this, which is a little, and apparently is, some more face time to really assert himself as somebody who could care. Look, I got to tell you, I might watch a Malarkey cooking show or a fun reality show. Like he's a character and has, I mean, I imagine he's pretty entertaining. So you could almost sense that his farewell, what Padma even had to say, are you basically bowing out of the competition, was an expression of what Flam told us a few weeks ago, which is this is not a guy who needs this to win this competition to get himself on the map. He's not only on the map, like he holds the map. And so that wasn't surprising. And again, I mean, I think, whatever problems we had, I don't think anybody was watching the judges, the two elimination chefs on the two chefs on the block and saying, oh, Gregory might go home. I mean, I think it was pretty clear that it was Malarkey's week to go home.
And I wanted to hit this because it is a huge pet peeve of mine when I'm playing cards with someone or a board game or anything when it's a head-to-head moment, if you're playing chess or whatever it is, when your opponent quits or says, oh, I've gotten such bad cards today. Like I never get the good cards. You always get the good cards, and starts quitting, and you can see them start to kind of surrender. I hate that. It's a passive aggressive way to steal the sweetness and joy of being the victor in any sort of board game or card game. And that's what Gregory was talking about here is I don't like when he jumped in and said like, dude, no, I think you should, on your own merits, stand here and face the music and let's go down together. Let's go to judge's table. And he said it in his confessional. I did not want to go to Italy because you quit. I wanted to go there because I deserved to be there. And I think that was such a great moment from Gregory just to say that, because I hate when people do that is when you're feeling like you're not going to win, you just steal any sort of joy or any sort of satisfaction that your opponent can get by just saying, I'm out, I quit. This is not fair. I'm just going to take my ball and go home. You didn't beat me. I just quit. That would have driven me crazy if I was Gregory. I'm glad he called him out on that.
Yeah. I mean, it was Gregory's pretty assertive, and we saw it in the Restaurant Wars episode too. Like he's a really affable, friendly guy when you get him in the side interviews, but he will stand up for himself. That fish I'm not going out in some fucking uncooked fish, he said, and he is not going out because Malarkey laid down. I mean, nobody likes, as you say, the person who takes his ball and goes home.
Yeah, and are you worried about Gregory?
No. I mean, look, I think we've seen that every chef of all the 5 finalists have had a dry period, right? Melissa did it a few weeks ago. Gregory's hit a little dry period. Voltaggio didn't do shit for like the first month and a half of the competition. Stephanie didn't do shit the first month and a half of the competition. Gillespie went out, for crying out loud, and frankly hasn't dazzled, although he's put together some really strong dishes that haven't won in the last few weeks. But everyone's had their burp. And what's going to be fun is going to Italy. My understanding, and I think we know this from previous chefs, that there's quite a hiatus between the last week of the American site and the first week. Like, I understand they go home and then it's later. So, it's interesting in terms of momentum. And I do think this is a momentum show. And I think what we just talked about, how each chef has some bad stretches and gets into a slump, that it is very much a momentum show. But there's a hiatus here.
That'd be a great study. Is the point leader going into the finale more likely to win overall, or is it just a free for all at that point? Does momentum in terms of just being the point leader after 11 episodes or 10 episodes, is that a greater indication of winning, or is it just totally random once you get to the finale? I'd imagine there is some correlation between how you performed for the first 11 episodes and then the finale. But who do you find yourself rooting for the most? Because all these contestants haven't won. And so Voltaggio might be the most decorated of the chefs.
Yet he is in fifth place right now among our 5.
But he is trailing Stephanie, 37 points. Yeah. Stephanie has 39. Kevin Gillespie, KG, has 49. Melissa has 60. And Gigi, Gregory, has 63. So they've separated the field from the field a little bit, Gregory and Melissa. I think Kevin, probably points per game, is probably right there with them because he had to kind of go to Last Chance Kitchen for a while. But I find myself rooting for Melissa, and I don't know why. I just think she is. I like Gregory. You know what? I don't know. Maybe I'm rooting for Gregory now that I think about it. Who would I be most upset if they didn't get to win Top Chef? And you know what? I'm going to change that. I'm going to say Gregory I would be most heartbroken about.
I mean, it sounds crazy. This is going to sound like a cop-out. Like, I really like all 5 of them for different reasons. Like, I like Stephanie because she's the underdog, and it's really nice to see someone the way I was sort of an Adrian stan in a couple seasons ago. I like Kevin because I love his food, and he's an Atlanta guy. So, I have some solidarity there. I love Melissa because it's just like, again, like watching Steph, in 2015. Like, she's just an amazing chef, and I really like her food. I love Voltaggio because the truth is I'm also a sucker for really elevated technical food. Like, I love going to a restaurant and eating that kind of food. I love his plates. They're beautiful. And I love Gregory because, man, he just is a player. Like, as I said, I mean, when he is on, man, he is on. He understands the competition. He has the perfect combination, kind of like Melissa, of bringing, like knowing what food to cook in what context, but also bringing a little bit of yourself to the competition. Yeah. Like, there is a personal expression. And so I'm really a fan of all 5. I mean, on one hand, it's like, it's a cop-out. I'm not rooting for or against anybody. But on the other hand, I'm not going to be upset if any of these chefs win because I just love maybe, okay, Voltaggio's had his moment in the sun and whatever, but I love Voltaggio's food. I mean, come on. So I like all 5, Tom. I'm kind of a softie. I
know. And Gregory is another reason why I really love Gregory. Is because even though he's a super competitor, he's also just genuinely really considerate of other chefs. And he's just so nice to everybody. And they seem to love him. It's kind of like the LeBron versus Michael Jordan is who would you rather play with? And I'd rather play with LeBron. It just seems like he's just more fun because he's more of a team player, incorporating everybody else. And he passes you the ball, and that's one of his great gifts is that he wants the teamwork. And I feel like Gregory is in the same way where you see those moments with Nene earlier in the show and Steph. He just seems to be a real team player without being, without losing some of his talent. And I think that's a really hard balance to strike, is not being too over the top, trying to help everybody with losing focus on your own dish. He just seems like someone who's the ultimate Top Chef competitor.
Yeah, I mean, I really, he's so likable. Like, I love his manner and even his use of language in these interviews. It's just he kind of articulates the gestalt of the whole competition. I think this is cool. Like, I really I like the guy. So anyway, I mean, any closing thoughts? We're going off to Italy here, Tuscany. Some of the cradle of Italian cuisine. It's going to be really fun just to watch him work. Any closing thoughts?
I love truffle. I'm such a sucker for truffle. I would love to go on a hunting trip for truffles, and it seems like they're about to embark on a hunt for truffles. It sounds really cool. I have never been to Tuscany. I've been to Rome. I've been to Florence. I've been to Cinque Terre. I have not been.
Well, if you've been to Florence, you've been to Tuscany.
I guess. Kinda. Yeah, I guess.
You haven't done like the countryside thing?
No, I haven't done the countryside thing. And so any sort of crib sheet you can give me here on Tuscan food or what are your things you're looking forward to about this trip?
I mean, it's
just
so
pasta
diverse.
and am I?
I mean, it's a little pasta, but there's definitely some kind of country cooking, and it's there's a certain rusticness to it. But I mean, it's going to be really fun. I'm just also I love the field, as we've said a million times. I just like this fivesome.
Yeah, and I probably this is a cop out, but I think the points leader is the favorite at this point. I think Gregory is the favorite. The number one draft pick. It's pretty cool to say in a season of All-Stars, the number one draft pick coming into the competition is still, in my opinion, the favorite going into the finals. Although right there is Melissa just mowing people down.
Yeah, and I think what they have in common is they both know how to manage risk in a challenge and yet not sacrificing creativity. Anyway, so for Tom Haberstroh, this is Kevin Arnovitz, and this is Pack Your Knives.